Welcome everybody to our newest or latest episode of Football Meets Your ELF Star. I'm Matthias from Football, and like you can see, you can guess who it is. It is the star of the Leipzig Kings last year in the European League of Football, Michael Birdsong. Michael, hi. Nice that you made time.
Hey man, good to see you again, man.
Yeah, I mean, Micah and me, we go way back, like a year. We had a great time because I'm fortunate enough to live in Leipzig and to get to know you. And it's like a huge honor that you came here today and that we can talk a little bit about the season, about your unfortunate retirement, which probably shocked the ELF world last week when everybody found out, you know.
Yeah.
And also for all of you who follow us, but you don't know too much about Michael Birdsong yet, Michael is also a very smart sports mind when it comes to basketball and fantasy football, which I could enjoy last year. So we will borrow that too a little bit today. Michael, let's start with your retirement, with the unfortunate news. I mean, you had a pretty great season. We will talk about that a little later, but now we found out you will not be part of the Leipzig Kings next year. Can you tell us a little bit about the reasons, other than like some people maybe read in the news, but to hear it from the goat's mouth is probably the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously it was a really tough decision to eventually come to. Ending the season the way we did on a pretty high note, going 5 of 6 there to close it out or something like that, 4 or 5. Really turning the team around that second half of the season. As a whole group effort, we finally found our groove and everything. So it's definitely very disappointing to not be able to be a part of what's going to carry on into this season with the Kings, because I fully expect, Coach brought back a big core group of the guys, especially defensively, as well as a lot of other talent, who a lot of those guys have winning mentalities coming from Dresden and et cetera. So it's pretty unfortunate that I can't be a part of it, but, I tore my Achilles completely 2 years ago in Japan, maybe 2.5 now. And then this past season, it was either the first or second game I had re-tore it again. And that's why I ended up sitting out those few weeks. We kept it pretty hush-hush, calling it a foot injury. But we just didn't want, people to target it or what have you. Not that people, maliciously do that, but when it's in the back of your head, sometimes you can't help it as on the other side of the ball. So, sitting out those few weeks, trying to get it back healthy, obviously it came back enough where I was able to come back during the season. But, those last 2 games kind of just, I could feel the strain on it. I could feel, it wasn't quite right still to that point. And, when we got done with the season, I had kind of had a feeling that that might have been it, especially if people saw me after the 𝗺 game. I was pretty emotional after it, because in that moment I was thinking, this is probably not going to happen again. But then a few weeks go by, everything starts to get a little bit better. You kind of forget about the loss a little bit. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's going to work out. And then I could just kind of tell working out back home that it wasn't completely right. And having had 6 or 7 surgeries to this point in my life, and having had the complete reconstruction of my Achilles before, there's no way that I wanted to do that again. So that was kind of the biggest decision maker for me, not wanting to put myself through that rehab, that, walking around in a boot for 2 months, not, just every little movement that you make, you're always thinking about it. I remember when I first tore it, like 10 weeks after, I had like a little accident where I stepped wrong and I thought I tore it again right then and there. Just having that stress on you during those first 3 or 4 months after tearing it is pretty brutal, let alone the fact that you can't do anything doesn't help either. So I couldn't put myself through that again. I kind of started hinting it to Coach earlier in this year, just to make sure he's aware that, hey, this is on my mind. I didn't want to put the Kings in a bad situation. Coach Armstrong, he's my guy. So I didn't want to leave them out to dry without them at least having a little bit of knowledge that, hey, this may or may not happen, and we sat on it for a while. Just Coach wanted me to think it out, and it was the right move to think it out. I really had to see this thing through till the final second to make sure that I wasn't going to make a mistake and stop playing when maybe I still really wanted to. And not that I don't want to, it's just I just don't feel comfortable physically enough to put it all on the line again.
And
But
I mean,
you know,
it's
on
a
top
tough
of that,
sport. It's a tough sport, you know, like for
yeah,
every position. And I wondered. I mean, I was on the basketball court with somebody like ripped his Achilles, you know,
yeah,
and it made a huge bang, and like
yeah,
he couldn't walk. He could barely
yeah,
walk.
yeah.
So I cannot imagine you playing the whole season, you know, with like feeling it. I mean, is that on every step you do? Like you have
No,
pain,
so
or
that's what is scary about the Achilles. When you tear it, there's no pain. You just know something's wrong because you can't walk. You don't
okay,
really know what's going on. Like when I tore it this past season, you know, again, I don't remember if it happened in the Berlin game, the first game of the year, or the second game versus WrocLaw. I'm not sure which game it happened. I just knew something was wrong, and it wasn't big enough to where, you know, I couldn't not play because I did come back playing with it going on. I played the first and second, or maybe just the second game with it being torn anyways. That's what's scary about it, because you don't really know what's going on. You just know something's wrong, and at any moment you could put a little bit too much force on it in the wrong direction, and it could go again.
yeah. Well,
And you know,
yeah, that's an unfortunate topic, and I was betting that it had to do with health reasons, because like how the season ended last year. I mean, you said it yourself. It was definitely a reason to come back, like talent wise, and also from the whole team perspective, right?
absolutely, absolutely. And that was a tough decision for me to make, because, you know, all those guys, you know, we become best friends over the course of those few months. You know, their family, their brothers, but they've had my back in this decision. You know, especially the core group where I was there with last year. You know, they were pretty informed throughout the situation for the most part as well. So, I mean, they all know what I went through last year physically, just with this injury. So they've been supportive throughout the process. It's just been really great, because if it went the other way, probably would have been a lot harder to make this decision.
Yeah. I mean, we can look at it as an upside. You know, you can be in your hometown right now, right? And like hang out with your beautiful wife, who started studying last year, right?
Yeah. So she started law school in August. I missed the last couple months, or, you know, the last month or two of the season. But yeah, she's over here now too. So that would have been an extra strenuous process, just because she wouldn't have been able to join me over there this year. So that definitely played a little bit of a factor into this decision as well. But, you know, it's just kind of there's a lot of different reasons why you can't choose why I had to make this decision, you know, but injury being up there at the top of it.
Yeah. I mean, I followed like a little bit NFL or a little bit like during the off season all the time. And I thought a little bit about people who retire, Andrew Whitworth, for instance, you know, and I watched some shows, like they asked them all the time, how is your daily routine today? You know, like, is there a big change? I mean, football players practice a lot more than just during the season. You know, so all off season. How is your daily routine changing? Do you already miss it like too much that you think you might pull a Brady and come back one day, you know? Or...
I mean, I'm never going to say never, but you know, definitely not.
That's what he said.
Just because, you know, I work out, you know, not like I used to, which was probably every day. Now I still work out like 2 to 3 times a week, you know. That's just in case, you know, and I just want to be a healthy individual. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, just not having to go to practice, not having to have to run and do all that stuff. It's definitely nice to give my body a break. It hasn't had one in 28 years. So
yeah. Do you might come back to Leipzig for like a visit to watch a game this year?
I sure hope so, man. I hope we can work something out to where I can get out there. I just got to figure out my work schedule and figure out, you know, obviously their schedule is out right now. I'm eyeing some games. Maybe I can get out there for a long weekend or something. But I'll let you know if that happens. One day you'll just see me at the stadium for a game, and
I will.
We'll crack some beverages during that event.
That's true. That's true. So let's talk about your last year in Leipzig. I mean, you made the decision to come from Japan all the way to Europe, join the European League of Football. There were plenty of interviews already why you did that and stuff, you know, but you came to Leipzig. So what made you like made that move, you know, to go here and to join this league? And how did you enjoy your time in Leipzig in general?
I mean, I love Leipzig. Everything it had to offer, you know, it was a nice city. Wasn't too big, wasn't too small. You could kind of find anything you wanted to do. And like I said, it wasn't so big where you get yourself in too much trouble there, which was nice. You know, with joining the ELF and Leipzig particularly, you know, as soon as I saw the ELF form, I was kind of balled in because I had always wanted to play in Europe. I just wasn't a fan of the individual country leagues for many reasons. But when the European League of Football started, and teams are going to be in different locations, different countries, and it was going to be more competitive because they were going to be able to branch out and get players from each country, you know, themselves. I was all in. And then with Leipzig, you know, it was a decision. Once you meet Coach Armstrong, it's pretty hard to say no to him. He's such a charismatic guy. He's such a good leader. You know, he's a player's coach. You know, he never once, like during my injury, tried to force me to come back. Hell, he was trying to sit me out more to make sure I was protected and make sure I was okay. So he made that decision for me to come to Leipzig, just being the man that he is and carrying himself the way he does and leading the team and leading a group of guys. That was my whole reason for going to Leipzig.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you had a rough start. You talked about your injury, then you had to miss, I think, 3.5 games. I don't know if you even finished the 𝗥𝗲𝗁 game. I think so, right? But like,
yeah, I finished it. I think I ended up coming off the field. They were kicking our butts, but
yeah,
there was definitely a plethora of things going into that decision.
Yeah, I think Carlos Brown had a day. So
yeah, he did. He's a heck of a ball player. He should.
Yeah. And then, I mean, like right around the mid of the season, and then you could come back on the 6th game day, you could turn it around. And I wonder, and maybe you can tell the audience too, like what was so special about this team this year, or what made the whole season, like maybe in the locker room, also believe in themselves again, you know?
I think so. Obviously, when I left the war, or when we lost the 𝗥𝗏𝗁 in the second game, we had 2 heartbreaking losses to Cologne and Stuttgart. Right? I mean, Cologne was a complete shootout. Jalil had an awesome game. Tom came in and did some good things during that game. And Stuttgart, kind of the same way. You know, they get the late touchdown to win. So at that point, you're kind of like, oh man, we're 1-3. We've lost 2 that maybe we shouldn't have lost, but you know, we were competitive. Then we get our butts kicked by Hamburg. Yeah. And when you lose like that, your team's going to do one of 2 things. They're either going to completely fold and say we suck. We just lost 55-0. There's no shot. They're the best team in that division. We don't have a shot at doing anything. Or your team's going to have a little pride, have some guts about them and say, you know, that wasn't us. You know, we don't want to ever put that product on the field again. And they take pride about it. And fortunately, we had a bye week after that week. So not only myself, but Dion, Olaf, there were so many guys who were out during that stretch where we were losing. People don't realize it. We had that bye week and everybody came back. And we finally had our complete team again. And then things started to turn. We got a few wins right off the bat and built confidence, showed the guys, hey, this is what we were supposed to be this whole time. You know, we had some injuries. It was unfortunate. But now that we're back, this is what we are. And I think as soon as we started seeing it, we could see it on the practice field leading up to that first game after the bye week. I believe it might have been Berlin. We could see it leading up to that point, and we knew, like, if we can get some wins under our belt early, you know, 1 or 2 wins, turn this thing around, we'll put ourselves in position, and we did. So it just a true testament of the character of the team, of the coaches who led us. You know, McCants, Coach Garrett, obviously Coach Armstrong, the defensive coaches. I'm blanking; they were defensive side, so. I didn't see too much,
no problem. There were not too many. It's Malik Jackson, Joe Bomarito, you know, and then
Malik.
like, Leipzig was not too fortunate with too many coaches last year.
Yeah,
so
right.
Like, I hope that gets better. And it looks like it. So
yeah, it does look like it.
I remember very clearly the last game day against Wrocław, because I was fortunate enough to share like the time with you and the guys afterwards, you know. We will not talk too much about the night, but we can talk about like right afterwards in the tent, you know, there was a moment of like the whole team coming together. There are some videos out there with like great singing performances in the internet. You can watch, guys, if you will maybe you find something.
You can find it.
Yeah, but on that last game day, what went through your mind? Can you tell us a little bit about like your emotional state on that day, or like after the game, and what were your thoughts in that process?
Yeah, it was a tough day in general. We really felt good about our chances. 𝗺𝗲𝗁, obviously, hats off to them. They got a great team. They got a great organization, coaching staff. They had a good quarterback in Lucas, and obviously Turpin really helped them out the second half of the season. Their defense speaks for itself, right?
Yeah.
But we going into it, obviously we felt pretty good about the situation. We just come off of a comeback win versus Hamburg. And we felt good about it, but we didn't have our best day. And whether we were a little off or 𝗺𝗁𝗁 was really on. And it goes the way they go. 𝗺𝗁𝗁 was a better team than us this past year. They beat us twice. So
they could hang with Hamburg the day after, the game after. They were hanging with Hamburg.
Yeah,
so
they were right there. I mean, they're a heck of a team. Like I said, over there it starts with the organization and the players that they have. But I think it was still pretty good. Not the way we wanted to finish the season, but we never gave up hope. We fought through the whole game. At one point in time, we were down by 16, and we got it back. With a minute and a half left, we were down by one possession because of a great play on defense. And then Tim made a heck of a catch over the middle of the field to put us back in the game. So it's tough. And me personally, I felt a little bit to blame. I didn't have my best game that day. I threw that early pick that set them up with an easy touchdown at the beginning of the game. Complete bonehead mistake. Haven't made a throw like that since college. So I was pretty upset with that. But, just the overall experience of the season, I felt like it kind of closed out. Like I said, on a good note, we were right there. We were in the driver's seat, and we had a chance to do it. We came up a few plays short. And like you said, 𝗺𝗁𝗁 went on to put up a heck of a fight in the playoffs versus Hamburg. And I thought they were the better team that day, just didn't fall their way.
It was also fitting, in kind of a way fitting that it was a home game, and after that debacle against Hamburg, which you talked about and what turned the whole season around a little bit, then you could finish it on, unfortunately, not the high note that you wanted, but like no fan was going home like super disappointed, like they were all happy. And I think it was great, like give back to them. After what they had to experience against Hamburg, and they were there. Yeah,
for sure. And that would have been awesome to give them that, that playoff berth win at home in front of what was supposed to be one of the least exciting sport venues. And it turns out, in my experience of traveling the league this past year, it was by far the most exciting sports venue with our fans going as crazy as they did. So, like I said, it was unfortunate, but like you said, it was a great day. It was a great experience, and it was good closure on the season. Wasn't the way we wanted to do it, but it can't all go your way.
So let's talk about the upcoming season. I mean, you're still in touch with, I think, some guys over there, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you know some of the new guys they hired? Are you excited about like some in particular? I mean, Coach McCants, we just talked about him, like he will start as a running back. Where do you see Leipzig's like chances this year?
I mean, I think the chances are extremely high. They're going to fill my position. I'm pretty aware of who we're going to sign. I kind of helped Coach vet some of the quarterbacks that he was thinking about bringing in.
I guess you cannot say the name right now.
I cannot disclose. I don't even know if it's official or anything yet either. So I just know some of the guys, and I think I know the guy. So he'll be able to fill his shoes in really well, and he's going to have the help of David McCants in the backfield, somebody who's led the GFL in rushing many years on end. So to be able to have somebody like that in the backfield who knows the game and knows the experience, knows the offense because he coached it last year. He literally knows everything that's supposed to be going on. Coaches signed some guys up front. We retained some guys up front, guys, like Big Max. He's gotten so much better in the offseason, especially he had that IPP shot. So I think that really opened up his potential of what he might be able to be if he takes advantage of the moment. And from what I just saw a picture of him, the dude looks really good. So I'm excited for him to see what he can do on the field this year, as well as some of the other guys, 𝗙𝗟𝗙 𝗺𝗁𝗁. And then obviously defensively, I mean, that's the talk of the offseason for Leipzig right now, right? I mean, that defense is, signing the two linebackers we did, AJ and the guy from Barcelona. Tavares, and getting Bomb back, and obviously re-signing Aslan and Lance and Dion and some other guys to come. I mean, it's going to be I think it's going to be a different, even more physical defense than we had last year. And us being able to, obviously losing Kyle Kitchens is big. He's a beast. I talk to him almost weekly.
Yeah.
But signing Bombach, a German replacement in the sense, is huge because now, that's a guy who doesn't count as American or a European player. And being able to steal him from Hamburg is crazy. I'm sure our new owner had his hands in on that one.
Yeah. I mean, they were going back and forth for like the sack lead, until a certain time.
Yeah. So I'm excited to watch him, man. I think it's going to be really special. Like I said, they brought a lot of the core group of guys back. So all of them know that feeling of winning and know the feeling how close we were last year. So I'm sure that they've all done the right things in the offseason to push themselves to get over that hump for next season. And coach is going to push them and get their full potential. Now the coach has had the full year. You got to remember last year, coach came over April or May.
Yeah.
No, I think I got over there May 15th, May 18th.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that we were even in the position that we were last year is incredible in itself. Now the fact that Coach Armstrong, one of the most charismatic guys in Europe, in my opinion, is able to have a full year of recruiting and a full year of getting coaches and building contacts in Leipzig. I think it's really going to put it over the top. And I'm expecting a very solid season, a very strong effort. Good thing our division doesn't change. So we got the same teams, a few different out of conference games, but it's going to be really exciting to watch. I'm super pumped to be tuning in for some games this year.
That is true. I mean, I'm excited for the defense too. Last week we had a web show, or almost 2 weeks ago we had a web show, and we talked about that division. Like before I found out that you retire, and I was like big mouthing all the time. Okay, Leipzig will win that division. Book it. I write it down right now. Yeah, I'm brave enough, and I'm not stepping away from it because I trust.
Don't step away.
I trust your judgment that the quarterback. He might not replace you, but he will be a good quarterback, Yes,
he's going to be a great quarterback. And multiple of the guys we were looking at, I mean, they're all going to be able to get it done, man. They're all very, very high accoladed college guys. They've done their things in America. Coach is a recruiter, man. He's not going to bring in somebody who's not going to fit his mold, fit his team, character-wise, play style-wise. I'd stick to your guns on picking Leipzig, and you'll see how
I will. Yeah, I trust you, and I trust the coach's guts because, what he hired so far, for this season is just incredible, especially defensively. So, okay, but you had some losses too. I mean, we will miss Timothy, So let's see. I'm very excited. You have, or the Kings have a very tough schedule this year. I mean, there are other teams. We don't want to call them, or we don't want to name them too much, but there are some teams who were in the final last year. Who have a schedule.
I can say it. I'm not a part of the league. Yeah, Hamburg's got a pretty weak schedule this year, considering all things. But they'll have their own challenges, man. They got rid of their quarterback J.J., who people slept on. That kid played great in the playoffs. I mean, he rallied them all the way through to the end, in my opinion. They're losing that guy. The new quarterback. He's got his plate full. He played good against us, but, you never really know what's going to happen with that. J.J. was an experienced cat. He knew what he was doing on the field. He didn't make many mistakes.
Yeah.
So we'll see how the cards unfold with that. But, I mean, Hamburg's still Hamburg. They got talent left and right. And the quarterback that they have now is ultra talented. I'm just curious to see what he's doing in his first year, and he could light it up easily.
So my big question mark about that, I just want to tell it again, was that Hamburg might struggle offensively a little bit because they got a coach in with 𝗙𝗟𝗙 𝗦𝗁, right? Who favors the run game. He showed that in Cologne. So I wonder, is that the right coach or the right philosophy for a young quarterback to develop? Maybe you can answer me that question.
I think it is actually, and I think Coach Heidelberg, some of the things he probably wanted to do in Cologne last year, he might not have been able to. With his running mindset, I would expect him to do a lot more read option, a lot more quarterback type runs, especially with what's his name? What's the Hamburg quarterback's name?
𝗙cie.
𝗙cie. Especially with him, man. He's an ultra athlete. And one way to open up the passing game is get him moving and get him running. It's going to bring the guys in the box. You're going to have to respect them. And all of a sudden now you got shots outside. I mean, they've got two great receivers. I mean, they're bringing in Gene and they're bringing in the other cat, the other American that they signed. Lamar something.
Lamar Jordan?
Yeah, Lamar Jordan. Yep. he's going to be one. I wouldn't be surprised they throw him in the backfield a little bit. He played quarterback in college. So if I'm any team in the ELF, I would not be thinking that he will not be playing some quarterback for him, because he most certainly will at some point in the season. So, they've got ultra athletes in Hamburg, and they got a good organization. That's where the league headquarters are. So they're not going to let that team dwindle down to the bottom of the conference. But I think with Leipzig doing the moves they did, Berlin adding some talent they did, new ownership there. I mean, our conference just got a lot harder.
Would you say it's the hardest? Would you say it's the hardest? Because there are these two new Austrian teams,
Yeah.
The Raiders.
Those two teams. Who else is in their conference?
The Raiders, the Vikings, the 𝗙𝗙𝗁𝗙, and the 𝗺𝗏. I hope I didn't
That's
make
all
any
one
mistake
conference
right now. Yeah.
I mean, that, in my opinion, that's the toughest conference.
That's the toughest.
I mean, aside from Stuttgart, and I'm sure, they'll have some improvements this year, but between Frankfurt and the two Austrian teams,
yeah.
I mean, that's going to be a bloodbath over there. I mean, I wouldn't be one of those teams is not going to make the playoffs. Maybe two of them.
Yeah. Because the North Conference is pretty good too. I mean, if we think about the two teams don't make the playoffs too, right?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. I think the league did a great job at adding those Austrian teams in. I think they're going to be really tough. When I was looking at it when they added them, and they didn't add one in our conference, I'm like, oh, thank goodness.
But we play one. We play them.
We do, and that's unfortunate. But it'll be a good test for the guys. I mean, you got to play the best to see where you stack up. So, it's good that we're playing them. You don't want a weak schedule, because by the time you get to the playoffs, you haven't been battle tested. You don't really know what you're capable of. Yeah. So honestly, run the gauntlet in the regular season. Who cares? Beat them all, and you can claim yourself the true champ at the end of the day.
Yeah. So what do you think? If we would call a very, very early ELF Bowl this year?
I'm going to put one of the Austrian teams in it. I don't know which one.
Yeah.
One of them's going to make it. I think one of them is going to top off whoever's going to be on their side. And then, I don't know. It's going to get hard on our side, with still some things left to uncover with Leipzig. And even now, 𝗺𝗲𝗁 losing Eubanks and losing Turpin. I was going to say probably them. But now they've lost Eubanks. I mean, that's a huge loss.
Yeah.
And losing Turpin. Now, can you replace a Turpin? Kind of. You can go get another athlete, but he was already there, ingrained in their culture, knew what he was doing, knew the city, knew how to, act as a foreigner there, because I think people take that for granted. As an American or anybody moving to a different country, maybe you're not aware of their customs, so you might do things to offend people, etc. So, I mean, that would be a big challenge, but I think it's going to be somebody out of our conference, whether it's us, 𝗺𝗲𝗁, Hamburg, or even Berlin. Berlin's going to sneak up on some people, man.
It's so hard to pick. It's so hard to pick. I really don't know. But we have to. And I wanted to borrow your sports minds a little bit. Oh yeah, before we go to that, because normally we do quick questions at the end, of every interview, to get to know the person better. But with you, we already know you. We know what a star you are. 1,600 yards last year in 6 games. We just talked about it,
Yeah.
So I just want to talk with you about other sports. But first of all, one more question, since you're not in the league anymore.
All right.
Can you tell us, from your opinion, from your standpoint, what do you think did the league do very, very good? And what do you think they could improve in? Because that's
obviously
interesting. Yeah.
Obviously marketing, right? The way they push their product, get it out there. I mean, this league started a year ago and it's already got tons of followers. Everybody pretty much knows about it now. If you're somewhat aware of international football, you've already heard of the league. You already can kind of see the vision in which it's taking place for it to go, the direction that it's going. And I mean, that's why I bought in right off the jump. Because, as soon as they started the league, they started pumping out information, and they weren't shy about it. Unlike some other leagues out there, they kind of keep it in-house. The ELF does a great job at pushing information out to the public, out to the fans, making people get engaged, getting excited, and stuff like that. They're nonstop. And I think that's a huge piece in trying to build something the way they're building. And they're doing a great job by not over expanding, in my opinion. A lot of people wanted them to add, to double the league this year. And I felt like they probably could have, but I think they made the smart decision to keep this thing slow, keep it building. You didn't really know what COVID was going to do. I don't know how it is over there right now, but over in the States, it seems like it's non-existent these days, especially with everything else going on in the world. So,
yeah,
I think it was a smart move, not knowing what was in the future. I'm excited for them to add more teams next year and the years after to really see how this thing expands. And then, obviously it's going to take time, but, getting that financial commitment, it's going to really pay dividends. Now, obviously they're taking the right approach, try to keep it as minimal as possible right now to grow the league as a whole. But eventually, if they're going to want to keep retaining players, the financial commitment is going to have to follow. I think I was offered the max this past year, and I was offered contracts to go back to Japan that were even more. Like I said, I just couldn't do it this year. But if the ELF could have possibly matched what was going on elsewhere, I've probably rethought about it a little bit more. Just because, playing for the league maximum isn't too much when I'm risking. I know why they're holding back on that. They need to hold back on it, because if they expand too much, they're going to fold just like every other league does. So they're really playing it smart right now. But I do expect that to come in the coming years, where they're going to be able to match it to where, guys are going to be able to train year round and not have to worry about getting a job and going to work, shift work at 9 o'clock at night because, hey, I'm only going to be here for 5 months. Can you give me a job? Most jobs are going to say no. So what do you got to go work at a warehouse or something? And that's just not ideal for somebody who's trying to train and get ready for another season where you're playing a game every single week for 10 to 12 weeks. So, like I said, I understand why they're doing the things they're doing right now. And I think it's a smart business move, but I think that's where we're going to see the next step of athletes really developing year after year, getting bigger, stronger, faster on the standard that we're supposed to be doing, which is lifting every day, training every day for 4 hours a day minimum, and you can't do that if you got to work another job just to survive.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you also see that it demands a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
Every day in the off season. I mean, when we watch the NFL, they probably never have a break.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People just see the 10 to 12 weeks on the field. I mean, there's a 3 to 4 month lead up time to the season. There's a month decrease time after the season, just trying to recuperate your body, doing rehab, trying to get right. God forbid if you have a surgery, I mean, that's going to take 3 to 6 months, depending on the injury, 9 months, who knows? So I think when they can get to the point they're stable enough and feel comfortable enough to where they can support guys like that, I think it's really going to take off for the league as a whole. And just seeing 19-year-olds who are rookies come back the next year at 20 and they were 60 kilos and now they're 80 kilos, I mean, or whatever. I was throwing random kilos numbers out there because I wasn't sure. But you know what I mean? I mean, I think that's going to be a huge factor in just the depth of the game, the depth of the players. Right now, you got your top players, they're all studs, but when you start losing guys, things drop off pretty dramatically.
Yeah, you have to retain the level of play, right? And so
you have to.
And I think like one part of it is that you boost the sport here around Europe, in Germany, and the youth like comes up, and you have to have local talent at some point as a base. But obviously, like to give the platform to showcase their talents to like imports like you and others, you have to make it affordable. And I totally agree.
And even the homegrown guys, I mean, the homegrown G's and P's and A's and
whatever,
all those guys. I mean, the homegrown guys, they might have it worse because some of those guys are legit stars. Well, they can't get the max contracts that even the A's win, and maybe sometimes they should be. And they have to work that regular job just to make ends meet. I think it's just a tough situation, and people don't really understand everything that goes into it, especially when you got to live in a city for a certain amount of months, then you go back and try to figure out life for a few months to hold it over. It's not an easy thing to do, this, semi-pro, pro football life. I mean, you really got to be, pretty precise on the decisions you make for financial reasons, for physical reasons, everything that goes into your life, really, it's pretty demanding.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that you talked about this right now. And I think everybody who listened right now and on our podcast and will watch that video appreciates that and appreciates all the import players a little bit more, maybe,
Yeah.
when we think about what they have to go through too. I mean, like I was once like moving to America for a short period of time but it is something different to adapt. And thank you very much, Michael, for that. And
absolutely.
now we have to go away from the serious, or maybe we stay serious, but I want to talk with you about some other sports in our quick question. Okay.
What you got?
So there are some questions in my mind and I wanted to talk with you privately about it. But hey, everybody who watches us can hear it too. What does Michael Birdsong think, or who he thinks will be we talked about the dark horse team of the ELF already. So we go to the NCAA March Madness champion.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you can ask me this now. I didn't ask me this a week ago, because every single team
St. Peter's.
I don't know, man. I gotta go with Duke, just because I think the team's really rallying around Coach K for his final run.
That would be a dream story.
There's something going on right now, something special going on in Duke. They're rocking and rolling at the right time. Obviously they're playing UNC for the first time ever in the NCAA tournament, which is pretty hard to believe. If they can get over the hump against UNC, who is playing absolutely phenomenal basketball right now, then I'm choosing Duke regardless, because I'm not a Duke fan, but you gotta admire the greatness of Coach K, and everything he's done at Duke University throughout his tenure there. He took the program from being a nothing to being a powerhouse juggernaut. So I kind of hope he goes out on a high note.
It's crazy. So everybody of you who is not too much into college basketball, so the University of Duke and Coach, what's his whole name?
Coach K, Coach
𝗙𝗪𝗙, something like 𝗙𝗪𝗙. Yeah, he could play for the Wrocław Panthers from the name.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so Coach K, he was there coaching like how much? 20 years?
Like the 80s.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm
long time.
And he had his last home game as a coach this year, and they lost actually
to UNC.
And he gave a big speech after that, thanking everybody and showing what a big family that school is and that team is. So, and then they turn it around, right?
Yeah.
Starting March Madness, and now they meet again. So this is a really great story.
It is. It'll be even better if they win it.
Do you give the other teams a shot? I mean, Kansas, I think, is also a big school.
Kansas is huge. So I'm a big Kansas fan. I know some guys used to play there in the past. So I've kind of always followed them, and obviously they're a dynamite program. But I don't know, man. I'm going with Duke.
Okay. All right. Let's go with Duke. I say Kansas just because I'm picking the favorites here.
That's fair. Okay. They're the only number 1 seed left.
So who do you got as a NBA champion? Way too early. Or maybe you can tell me the finals, what you could admit.
I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched any NBA this year for whatever reason. I know LA blew a 23-point lead last night, the Lakers. So I will not choose them. I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs. Now that Kyrie Irving's able to play in New York again, finally, with all the COVID restrictions that New York had on their own players, but not everybody else who came in, it was pretty weird.
That is super weird.
It was, you had Beal, who played for the Wizards, was able to play in Madison Square Garden or wherever the Nets play, but Kyrie couldn't play there, and they're both unvaccinated. I'm like, what? This doesn't even make any sense, but we'll get beyond that. Now that he's back and able to play, I think they could be a dark horse, because they're going to be like an 8 seed and be able to, if they can knock off the number 1 seed the first round, they're pretty much going to have a shoe in. I think they're going to play Boston if they make the playoffs.
Nobody knows who will be the number 1 seed tomorrow, because there are like 4 teams tied. I think Milwaukee, Miami, Boston.
Yeah, I think Boston's got the best depth from what I've seen. I'm not a believer in Milwaukee. They won it last year, but Giannis is a freak, literally a Greek freak. But I'm not sold on this complete game. But I'll be honest, I don't know too much about the NBA.
Well, there was a little bit, and I'm telling you my honest opinion about it this year in an NBA. I have to go with Memphis because it's just the most fascinating product I see.
Yeah.
It's Ja Morant's show, and
Yes,
my
I do
favorite.
love me some Ja Morant. Absolutely. If I were to pick a team where I want to win, it's definitely Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies.
Thank you, because there's also one of my favorite players. Some
Yeah.
may know him as Aquaman, but his name is Steven Adams.
Yeah,
So
Steven Adams. Yeah, he's
he's
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, he is.
Have you seen that one pass? I have to show you the video later, maybe, but everybody
All
could
right.
check out. Like there was a game. I don't know. Like just type in. My friends type in on YouTube Ja Morant, Steven Adams highlight. You will see that one pass with a buzzer beater with I don't know 1 second left. So okay, and then I want to talk with you very short about the NFL. Okay, who had the best off season for you? Because there was a lot going on.
So I'm a formerly Redskins, now Commanders fan. We signed Carson Wentz. I'm actually a fan of the move.
Okay.
I think Carson Wentz is a good quarterback. I think last year he played really well. He made some very bonehead decisions in a few games, but overall, if you look at what he did, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I played against 𝗙liche in college while he is a complete gamer, a baller. He went 20 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. That's a huge difference. 7 more touchdowns and under half the interceptions. I mean, that's the difference in probably 3 or 4 games won to lost. So I think he's going to be huge for the Commanders, but you got to go with Denver Broncos, getting Russell Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson's in his prime. That's why I was hoping we would land. Russell's a Richmond guy, Virginia guy. So I was really hoping he'd come back to Washington, close, 2 hours from home. Chose to go to Denver, but I think they're going to be a dark horse to win the whole thing this year. Personally, Russell Wilson's a stud. People for some reason have forgotten about him, like he's old. The guy's like 32 years old, and he can play with the best of them. He can move, he can throw it, he can do everything that you want. So I feel good with. I think Denver's crushed it so far.
Can you tell us a little bit? Can you tell us a little bit at this point? Russell Wilson has an offensive coach for the first time in his career, actually, like in the pros, because Pete Carroll, like everybody counts him as a defensive-minded coach,
Yeah.
What does that do to quarterback? Or do you think that will make a difference in his play?
I don't think it'll make a difference in his playing. It'll probably make a difference in the play calling going on. When you get an offensive-minded coach as a head coach, he typically gives more leniency to the offense to allow them to do what they want. And when you get a defensive-minded coach as a head coach, their thought process is, hey, I just want to, I want to keep them under 17 points. I want to score 20 points, control the clock, run the ball, etc. When you get an offensive guy as a head coach, he's more lenient to let you do things, be more creative. Again, this isn't my experience. Be more creative, get a little bit more control to the quarterback. Not that Russell didn't have probably complete control as is. I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer. I'm sure they were giving him everything. But in terms of game prep, game planning wise, he's definitely going to be a little bit more loose than what he's probably had in the past.
Yeah, they could give him an MVP vote for once, So just
I know, right?
That would be great. Yeah, I'm big on Russell Wilson. I'm telling you,
I'm a huge Russell Wilson fan.
I just know that the Green Bay Packers won't do anything this year, So I'm sorry.
I mean,
I cannot.
I don't know how they let Devontae walk, and I'm surprised Devontae walked. I mean, why would he, as a player? No offense to Derek Carr. Hell, I was hoping the Commanders were going to sign Derek Carr, but to compare Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers, they're not even on the same planet. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is in a universe of his own, and to be able to walk away from probably the greatest pure talent-wise quarterback to ever play the game, walk away from that, that's a pretty bold move by Davante Adams. I know he played with Derek Carr in college and everything, so there was a relationship there, but I don't know, man. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is there, I'm sticking with them, even though he has been a little shady here in the playoffs the last few years.
And
maybe that was his reason.
And also maybe his reason was that he doesn't want to have that drama like the 3rd year in a row. He doesn't know if he comes back or not, and if he can play with Aaron next year. I mean, he got the fat contract, so
but Green Bay offered him the same contract.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I agree with that. Who knows? Aaron Rodgers might not come back next year. Now he's signed into a contract where he doesn't know the quarter. He's going to be Jordan Love. We saw that experiment last year. That didn't work out too well.
I mean, obviously, if you want to win, Green Bay was a great destination because you have such a talented quarterback. But I personally am more on the side like Aaron Rodgers makes and creates too much drama, and
Fair enough.
some people might be fed up, you know. And Devontae
Yeah.
likes Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is a very likable person. He comes
Yeah.
over as it. So
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, they were like best friends or in college. You know, they're pretty close. So maybe I'm sure that had a huge factor in his decision as well.
I mean, I'm telling you, the AFC has so many good teams this year. It's
At AFC West
fascinating.
alone, Denver, Raiders, Chiefs, and the Chargers. I mean, all four of those quarterbacks are top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Probably Derek Carr is like top 15 for sure. And they're completely loaded. Every team over there. I mean, if there was a conference that can get 4 teams in, it'd be that one. Unfortunately, it probably won't happen. But if it could, it'd be them.
It's crazy. Okay, so I'm high on the Raiders because I think Devontae is a huge like step up in their passing game.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, they got a true number one. They got Hunter Renfrow. They got Darren Waller, probably the most freakishly talented tight end in the league. Josh Jacobs in the backfield, and they got Josh McDaniels, the head coach.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're going to make a run at it too.
So, what do you think about Deshaun Watson going to the Browns? Do they have a shot? He might not play, right?
He might not play. That's the thing. I thought the contract, the fact that they gave him more money on top of the ridiculous contract he already had, I thought that was pretty crazy of them to do. But hey, when you go all in, you might as well go all in, I guess. When he does hit that field, he's going to be a game changer. I mean, Baker Mayfield's Baker Mayfield. You know, he's just he's a good quarterback. He's not going to make many mistakes. He's a very good game manager, stuff like that. But, you know, obviously the talent difference between Deshaun and Baker is huge. I mean, Deshaun Watson is probably an upgraded version of Russell Wilson, if there is such a thing, in my opinion. So when he hits the field, people better watch out because Cleveland's going to be pretty darn good. But who knows when he's going to hit the field.
All right, so then let's finish with your way too early Super Bowl prediction. Who will be in the Super Bowl and who wins it? Michael Birdsong.
That is way too early.
Yeah, I know, it's way too early. We didn't even have to draft.
I'm just trying to think of teams in the NFC. I mean, obviously the Bucs are back with Brady coming back. Green Bay's out. I mean, the Rams, but I don't know. I thought it was a really good story last year. I don't see it happening again.
Yeah. Okay.
They lost 2 serious defensive pass rushers. I'm going to go with Denver on the AFC side.
Really?
I think experience of Russell Wilson carries them over the top. I don't think Kansas City losing Tyreek Hill. Now they'll draft another version of Tyreek Hill. You better believe that. But I don't foresee them getting back to Super Bowl this year. The Chargers are kind of one step behind, in my opinion. Just overall quarterback experience. Russell Wilson's been there, done it, and I think they have a shot. So I'm going to go with Denver, dark horse to make it. Versus
I like that.
Man, who in the NFC? I have no clue in the NFC.
It's crazy that we cannot remember because we always think about AFC teams, right? So
I know, right?
Let me help you a little bit here. I mean, we could talk about Arizona, you know?
They hit my brain. Hit my brain, but Arizona got rid of Chandler Jones.
Yeah, that's true. San Francisco, we don't know.
I'm not a believer in San Fran. They're a good team. Jimmy G can facilitate the ball really well. Again, doesn't make too many mistakes. I don't see enough there to take him over a Tom Brady. You know, you give me Jimmy G versus Tom Brady in the NFC Championship, I'm taking Tom Brady all day long.
I know, but they want to go with Trey Lance. So, and we don't know if he can play.
I'm not going to take a first-year starter.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, I mean, he's a first-year starter. The kid's got insane talent, but are they going to be able to control the talent? I mean, everybody acts like he can be Patrick Mahomes. There's only been one Patrick Mahomes. Everybody keeps saying Jordan Love was supposed to be Patrick Mahomes. All these guys are supposed to be. I'm like, nobody is him. So quit acting like you're going to get another one. That was a one shot in the pan. It worked out great. He's with Andy Reid, one of the most qualified, best offensive minds ever in the game. He had Alex Smith, who was a true veteran, mentor him his first year. Showed him how to win. The team went like 14-2 with him. I mean, I'm going to go with the Bucs. It's Brady. I'm not going to bet against them. So I'll go to Denver versus the Bucs, and I'm going Bucs to win it.
Wow. Okay.
Give me the goat all day long.
I love it. I mean, like, I couldn't finish on a higher note. Henrik will
Yeah.
hate me for that, by the way, because you cannot make one video about the ELF not talking about Tom Brady. Well, I don't know, just happened.
It's hard not to do, man. As
Yeah.
long as he's still playing, we're all still watching.
Yeah, but I mean, I gotta say, I'm going on the AFC side. I love Denver, but I'm going with Buffalo. I am
All right, I'm in on that.
on the Josh Allen hype train, and I think I don't want to say Patrick Mahomes is overrated. He is amazing, you know.
Yeah, he is.
There are a couple guys who
That's
can
you.
on any given Sunday be better than him. I mean, they're all great, you know.
Josh Allen, I mean, the Bills should have beat them this past in the playoffs. I mean, the way Josh Allen and the Bills fought back and orchestrated that little comeback. I mean, I don't know what the heck type of defense they were playing to let Travis Kelce run down the middle of the field and catch a 40-yard, you know, catch and run for 30 or 40. I mean, that single-handedly lost the game for him. But, you know, Josh Allen is a stud, and he proved on that day that he can hang with the best. You know, and Patrick Mahomes is top 3 in the league, if not number 1, you know. So, yeah, I like Buffalo, man. Buffalo's a good choice. And they signed Von Miller. If they can keep him fresh come the playoffs, he'll recap just like he did for the Rams this past year. So, I like that call. Buffalo's a good pick. Who you got in the NFC?
Well, I mean, I could say the Bucks because I'm a homer, you know, but I love them. I love that they bring all the pieces back, like which really count for me. You know, Chris Godwin, Evans, and Gronk will come back. I'm telling you.
Yep, I agree.
He's making a big show right now. Oh, I don't know yet. You know, he will come back.
He'll come. I'm sure he's training right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, I cannot take anybody else. I think I don't want to be the smartest person in the room to pick anybody from the NFC East. So like this will not happen. I think Dallas is terrible this year.
Yeah.
I think they gave away everybody.
On the Dallas hype train. I'm like, you guys always blow them out of proportion.
Yeah.
No,
okay, I give you a team. I give you a dark horse team in the NFC. I tell you, I'm taking Minnesota. Because please wait with your Kirk Cousins.
Okay, I like Kirk Cousins.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, he played in Washington. So, yeah, you cannot hate him.
Yeah, I wish we never let him go. We would have been in the situation we've been in the last 5 years.
I think we talked about this offensive coach or offensive-minded coach thing, you know. And I really believe that because the statistics last year said that offensive-minded coaches, you know, were advanced when they had like a really good quarterback. And there are a couple of good quarterbacks out there. But I really think that the Vikings have like so many offensive weapons that they maybe need like a coaching change to unlock them a little bit more from Mike Zimmer, you know. And so I don't know what they do in defense.
I mean, that's a good call. I mean, you got Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. I mean, they got some studs, and Thielen got hurt last year. I mean, and now that Green Bay is not going to be what they were, I mean, in my opinion, you can basically count. I'm not going to say 2 wins. You can count 1 win versus Green Bay, just off the fact that he doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to him.
Yeah,
you know, Green Bay's going to have like a number 30 draft pick. They're not going to get anybody who's going to be a difference maker right away.
Do you know a good receiver in the draft?
There's plenty, but they're not dropping the pick 30 or whatever. They're not. I mean, they might have like pick 28. I don't know.
Who did you say?
They're not going to drop that far, huh?
Who did you name?
I didn't name anybody.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that one of those top 2 or 3 receivers that are probably going to go in the top 15 are going to drop to Green Bay. So they're not going to get like that day one difference maker, kind of like Minnesota did when they got Jefferson or Jamar Chase this past year. You know, those guys go top 10. Okay.
All right. So we have it. Broncos Bucks or Viking. I cannot believe it. Kirk Cousins in the Super Bowl. Yeah, why not?
I like it, man. That'd be hype. I'm all in on that.
Okay. So, or a Super Bowl, Josh Allen against Kirk Cousins. But I think, I don't know. I mean, like the Buffalo Bills, they really stunned me. Didn't they get Von Miller?
They did, yes.
So, they had a really great defense.
They're loaded, man. I mean, that's a really good choice. If I would have to go with anybody else in the AFC, it'd be Buffalo, for sure.
All right, Michael. I hope that was not the last time we talked on that channel. I thank you very, very much. Okay. And,
yeah, absolutely, man.
Well, the last words are always belonging to our guests. So, Michael, if you want to say anything to the football community here, the ELF community, or to the Leipzig Kings fans, the stage is yours. Thank you very much, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, man, I just say thanks to everybody for all the support. Both personally and to the Kings. This past season, it was a heck of a way to go out. Looking back on all the memories there at uh at the Kings home field and Leipzig in general with all bunch of friends and now family. It's truly a great experience, and I'm excited to see what Coach Armstrong puts on the field this year. I think it's going to be even better than what it was last year, bringing back those core group of guys who know how to win and bringing in other winners into the fold. So it's going to be something special, and I hope we get the same turnout we did last year and even better, because they're going to need it. They're going to need to continue to support in Leipzig, and they'll honor it back by getting you guys a lot of wins. So enjoy the season, and hopefully I'll see you guys out there in a few months.